All right, let's look at shelter. These are some of the tents that I have. This first tent, this is a tent that I bought for a bachelor party that went on about 7-8 years ago. Didn't know where all my tents were and if they had all the parts, so I went and bought the cheapest tent I could find at Walmart. This tent actually has been great. We've taken it, went on our first Jeep trip and multiple Jeep trips. It's wonderful. It's really easy to set up. It only comes with 4 poles and it's staked down, I think about 8 stakes. Really nice tent. You can fit a full-size sleeping mattress in it for 2 people, and still have rooms in the sides for your gear. Now, as you see, the problem we had was I am much taller than this tent, so standing up and changing clothes is very difficult, and especially when you have an air mattress in there, there's not really space, so you're just like sitting there on the air mattress, like struggling to, put on your pants while the air mattress is moving. So that was one thing we wanted to upgrade, just kind of have a little more space, a little more functionality. So what we did was we found this deal on this Coleman Montana 8 tent. This is great. It has plenty of space. You can put two full-size air mattresses in, or one trip we had air mattress on one side, and we were afraid it was going to rain most of the time, so we had like chairs and seating on the other side of the tent. But this is an 8-person tent just like that. It says it's a 2 to 3-person tent. I don't think there's any way you can put 3 people in a tent. That's not one thing you need to think about. It might say 8. You could possibly get 6 people in here with little gear, but I don't know. Comfortably, I think you can put 4 people in this tent and plenty of gear. But this was great because obviously it's taller than me. We can stand up. We had plenty of space and everything. The only issue we had with this tent is it is complicated to put up. It has 8 poles, and there's different poles, so you got to remember what poles to use. And not only does it have 8 poles, it has 16 stakes, maybe more than 16 stakes. There's 2 guidelines that I couldn't even figure out. Do I even need to put this up? Stake down these guide pins. And when you go to these state parks, off-road parks, places, the ground is really hard. So staking down just one stake can take forever. I got a stake on this back that's just completely bent from trying to stake it in the ground over and over again. And it's just, oh man, it is complicated to put up. Now, that's one thing is before you go camping is to first learn how to put up the tent so you're not learning on the fly. And but once you learn how to do it, I know the one for a while there, Steph was taking this on some of her trips with the rugby team, and so she had put it up more times than I had recently. So when we put it up together, I let her take the lead, and it's really about working together and communicating with each other when putting something like this up. But this is extremely complicated to put up. It's not too bad. It doesn't take too much time as long as you're patient with each other and go through the process. But this is a lot of tent. And this is great if you're just staying in one place, you're camping that one spot, and you're not moving around. And another thing is sometimes these campsites, the place you're supposed to put the tent is very small. Last time we went on a trip, we had both of these hanging out the little platform the tent's supposed to be on. So it can get really interesting with that. So we decided to go with something a lot easier to put up and a lot, not so much small, but just something more convenient. So we went and got this Insta-Tent, which is great. It opens up like a canopy, actually easier than a canopy, and it takes maybe a minute. An idiot can put this on, put this together, kinda. There's one thing I'm about to tell you that I kind of screwed up when I put this on, but it's it's really easy. It only has, it has one system of poles, so you're not like putting poles together like these tents are. And it's only staking down. You could probably just get away with just using 4 stakes to stake this down, which is great. Another thing we like about this tent is I can stand up inside this tent, not a problem. So we can fit a full mattress and have room on the sides for gear and standing up and changing and everything, so we're not struggling on the air mattress like I said before. Now, the only hitch to this tent was it came with a separate fly, so you have to buy the fly separate, unlike those tents. And the other thing is instructions. Most of these tents come with instructions. Some instructions are better than others. Actually, the Walmart tent ended up having the best instructions. This was alright instructions. This one, well, I was looking at the instructions on how to put the fly up, and it didn't tell me that, 2 sides are different than the other. So I'm pretty sure I put this side needs to be on this side, and this is a lot more open than that. So I think I just need to shift it over. So it's not completely foolproof. This is the first time I've actually put the tent up, and we're excited about using it. This is great for if you're moving from campsite to campsite, and where versus this is, it's best to just have a stationary thing. We're going to go on a trip where we're going from one place to the next, to the next, to the next. And so having something we can put up and take down really easily is nice. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is when it does, when you do put it in the bag, it's a pretty hefty bag because of the whole Insta-Tent system. So it's actually bigger than that bag, but it's not too big. Whereas that tent over there, that's small enough you could probably use that as a backpacking tent. Now, as far as staking tents down, one thing you need to realize is all the stakes, whether you're getting a cheap tent, a kind of a budget-friendly tent, or even like a super nice tent, the stakes you get are really flimsy. Go to the store and not only get some extra flimsy stakes, but get some like really good solid stakes that have pointy ends. I saw a great video the other day about this guy who always keeps a drill in his toolbox, and he found these bolts that are screw bolts, pointy screw bolts, and about the length of a large stake, and he just uses that and he just screws it into the ground. I thought that was a great idea. I'm going to go out and look to find if I can find some I guess bolt screws just like that and try that out. Of course, you need something to bang the stakes into the ground. Your foot probably won't work. I like to use a hammer, a proper hammer, a hammer that has a hammer side and a place you can pull out a nail. That makes it easy for just me to bend over and pull a stake out. A lot of people do the whole hatchet thing, where there's a hatchet on one side and kind of a hammer edge on the other. That's fine, but I'm compromising on ability to pull something out of the ground. I kind of like just having just a hammer, and I'll get into whether you need a hatchet or saw later. I've kind of found out I'd rather have like a small hand saw than a hatchet anyway. So those are the things that you need to consider. Now, with these two tents, the bottoms of it do have some sort of almost kind of tarp material, versus that is just kind of the same tent material. So having some type of ground cloth under your tent, just a tarp like this, put it under the tent. It keeps the moisture from coming up and coming through the tent. And also, when you're setting up a campsite, you kind of want to make sure there's no twigs or branches or rocks underneath your tent, but you might miss something. Just having something to protect the underside is a great idea. I've always done it. It's just kind of the essential part of setting up a tent. But as you see here, there's many different tents for just a couple people, maybe a whole family, something easy to set up, something hard to set up, and something easy to move around with. So many different choices, and there's another choice you can make if you don't want to do a tent. And when we our first time taking this tent with us, we were with a group of people that actually did some hammock camping. Of course, you need 2 trees in order to do this, and make sure when you get the hammock to get the straps to go to the hammock. But you can also buy a fly to cover the hammock up, or actually some people just use a tarp to cover the hammock. And the person that used that actually had some back issues, always had problems finding a mattress, and found that extremely comfortable. I like to throw that in with my stuff, just as a place that I can just, sit and relax in the outdoors without having to go into a tent that might be hot all day. And that's another thing, is you want to look at ventilation with these tents. This tent has very little ventilation, has a little bit of ventilation up here and just in the door, nothing on the back, whereas that tent has tons of ventilation, so you can get nice airflow, so when it's hot, it's not super hot inside the tent. But that also makes this tent nice, is when it's cold and it's rainy, this has a lot more protection than maybe these other tents that has more ventilation. It's always, we take these different tents on based upon what we're going to do. So having different options is a good thing, but try out different things. You don't have to spend way too much money, obviously, to really have a good experience, and you can always find good deals on these things. Just keep an eye out, and also check other people's campsites, see what they're doing. You might get some great ideas. All right, let's go in here and check out our sleeping gear. All right, sleeping gear. I've used different things. I've used sleeping pads that you just put on the ground of the tent. One thing I've found is elevating yourself is key. Sometimes, no matter what you do, you might have a tent that's leaky or the water comes up through somehow. So having some type of elevation off the ground is nice. Yes, you can use like a pad, but when I was in Scouts, I generally used a cot, except for when I did backpacking. I used a ultralight Thermarest sleeping pad, which was great. I could double up as a chair when I was backpacking. Those are great. Also, the Thermarest stuff, if you want it to last long, like mine's lasted 20 years. I was actually using it to go underneath the Jeep the other day to install a bump stop, and that thing's lasted so long because I don't pack it up in the small package that it can be. I keep it inflated and in my storage room, so it continues to keep the shape over the years. Now, I use an air mattress, and I've used multiple air mattresses, and I haven't found like the brand to get. I've used more expensive ones, cheap ones, and sometimes I choose an air mattress based on whether I have electrics at that campsite. For a while there, we're using an aero bed that we use in our guest room, so we can use the guest room as an office most of the time, but just blow it up. That just plugs in a wall plug. Sometimes you don't have electric, so that option is not that good, and that at one point did fail me. It was a really nice aero bed, one of the really nice ones with a pillow top and everything. But when it failed, it failed. That's why you always have to have some type of repair kit to patch something. Also, when you're inflating these air mattresses, you need to think about the power, number one. So I got this one that's just runs off C batteries. Of course, you need to have extra C batteries. I also like to, especially on long trips, I have 2 options. Maybe 2 battery powered ones, or a battery powered one and a hand pump. You can also get these things that run off your DC in your vehicle, but sometimes your vehicle can't get to where your tent is, and sometimes you have to blow up the mattress inside the tent because you can't fit it like that smaller tent I showed you earlier. Even in the bigger tent, it would be very difficult to put it in a large air mattress like this, pre-blown up. So, make sure you have plenty of power and everything. And when you blow up these air mattresses, and every single one of them tells you the same thing, blow it up initially. The air is going to settle and get to all the different spots over time, and then right when you go to bed, blow it up one more time. And that's the best way to get the firmness or softness that you want. I have to be real about it. There are times, no matter what air mattress I had, in the middle of the night, I might have to go like, hey, get off the air mattress for a minute. Let's blow this up because I'm sinking down. But I like it because, even no matter how well you look over the place you put the tent, there still can be some uneven ground or something underneath that like pokes you. So having an air mattress kind of gets in between you and something that makes your sleep very uncomfortable. But just a simple air mattress like this is great. And what we do is we then put a sleeping bag on top of the mattress. I like the flannel sleeping bags that have the flannel inside. Now, another sleeping bag you can use is like a mummy bag. That generally is for colder weather. I'm here in the South, so generally I'm camping in warmer climates, so I don't really need a mummy unless I'm, sleeping and, going camping in November, December, January, which I rarely do. But even then, you can just add more blankets and such to add more comfort when you're sleeping. So a lot of times we put a sleeping bag, we'll open it up to the flannel side and sleep on top of that. Sometimes we bring a sheet. I at least bring one sheet so I can just, if it's too hot, I can sleep on the outside of the sleeping bag and just have a sheet. I also have this poncho liner I've had for 30 years. I got this at an Army surplus store. These are great. Just another level of insulation and comfort. And I always have this with me. When we actually, one of the things we do is when we pack up, what I'll do is deflate the air mattress and just roll up everything all in one and put it into a larger bag, just so we can make sure that, so it's just easier to get, like especially if it's raining or something like that, or late at, we get to the campsite late at night, we can just go open it up, blow it up, it's ready to go. That's a great idea. Just make it easier. Doing some prep work ahead of time just makes your whole experience easier. Of course, you'll need some type of pillow. A lot of times I just bring my own pillow. I'm kind of a particular person with pillows. I need a certain firmness and everything. But you can also get one of these camping pillows that you can inflate. When you're going backpacking, a lot of times I'll just take the extra clothes I have and put it in a stuffed sack and just lay on that, maybe put it underneath the sleeping bag, just to kind of have a little bit more comfort so I'm not on just a bag. And that's really all you need. But that's one thing you have to think about is make this comfortable. It's not going to be a bed like you have at home with some type of egg crate or something like that. I actually used to, when I did the cot thing, put a cot down in an egg crate because the poles of the cot can be kind of unwieldy, so having just a little bit of a layer like an egg crate, some type of foam mattress to put on top of it, makes it just a little bit more comfortable. And of course, just add as much sheets and blankets as you need based on the weather and climate that you're dealing with. But make this as comfortable as you can. This is something you can spend some extra money on. Try out a few different things. You're always going to find something new. We used to just use just a regular sleeping bag and open it up all the way and sleep on that. We just found this, which was fine, but we kind of, trapping the heat, especially in cold weather camping. Sometimes in October it gets really cold, or maybe early in the spring it can get really cold. We found a double sleeping bag, which actually you can separate and turn into 2 sleeping bags, and of course it has the flannel. So that is something we just recently purchased and found out to be great, and just make this comfortable, because the worst part is waking up the next morning in a lot of pain, and then you have to break down your campsite while your back is hurting, and that's not fun at all. All right, I think that's everything you cover with sleeping bag.